Hello cruel world, my name is Dr. Shaham Das. I'm a consultant forensic psychiatrist and an NHS doctor. I assess mentally disordered offenders for a living so that you don't have to. The video you're about to watch is me being interviewed for GBnews about antisocial behaviour in what's thought of as one of the worst estates in the whole of the UK. And they're asking me about how it can be spread across generations and how much responsibility is the parents versus authorities, etc, etc. But I thought I'd give you a bit of context before you watch that video because it's based on a very specific story. So I'm going to get into the story now. Forgive me, I'm just reading from my laptop. So youths as young as 10 years old have been running riot in a place called Blakenall, in Wallsall. And the subjects there are being subjected to physical and racist attack, with some people in the estate being feared for their own lives. Apparently a pigeon was torn apart by out of control yobs running around within this housing estate. Youths as young as 10 are among the intimidating gangs that are subjecting residents to racial and physical attacks. Business owners are pleading for the council to do something. The estate has actually been described literally like, and I quote, like a scene from war-torn Ukraine. The police are trying to step up, they're doing patrols, but nothing seems to be working. Another example of this antisocial behaviour, apparently some people witnessed a fire being started behind the home that was occupied by a mother and a kids, and they all moved out and they're too scared to return. A delivery driver was attacked after being struck by bottles being thrown at him. So it just sounds like an absolute nightmare. It just sounds like the worst place that you could possibly imagine within the UK. So I'm just letting you know all that for a bit of context to what my interview is about. Go to the interview now. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you find it insightful. Watch the rest of my videos. I like to educate you about stuff that's related to offending with a little sprinkle of mental illness. Go and check out material. Have a blessed day. Do not forget, I love you. Stay euthymic.
Joining us now to talk about some of the causes of such antisocial behaviour is forensic psychiatrist Dr. Shaham Das. And the reason why I wanted to get you on, Dr. Shaham, thank you very, very much for joining us, is because when I read these reports of, kids, feral kids, yobbos, out there, in this case, ripping live pigeons apart, I think, where are the parents in all this, and should we bring back the cane? What on earth is going on with all of this stuff? Why do kids go out there and do this kind of stuff? Because they're tearing Britain to pieces.
Well, that's a great question, Patrick. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. I think, first of all, we have to define what the problem is, right? So what do we mean by antisocial behaviour, antisocial attitudes? To me, that is aggression, deceitfulness, just a lack of guilt, a lack of remorse, a lack of empathy for their actions, and just this general social irresponsibility. So not caring about the community, not caring about the environment. But to answer your question, what causes it? I definitely think it's something that's learnt. It's a learnt behaviour that children have from their parents, from their peers. So if you grow up in a household where you witness violence, domestic violence, maybe you're the victim of violence yourself, you model this violence and you use it as a way to manage conflict. And I think if you're a victim of violence or you're a victim of these attitudes and you grow up in that kind of pro-criminal, anti-authoritarian environment, then it's just very easy for you to carry on those mistakes and to copy that behaviour.
Do you think that we're too afraid to call out bad parenting in this country?
Yeah, I think the whole attitude towards parenting and being critical towards parenting has changed definitely since the last generation. So I think people are more worried about offending than they are about actually calling out antisocial parenting and antisocial behaviour. Absolutely.
And kids don't tend to feel the consequences these days or even think about them clearly. I mean, the idea for me when I was younger about, going and vandalising a shop front or, dare I say it, ripping a live pigeon apart with my bare hands outside a corner shop, as indeed seems to be happening in what we're calling Blakehell in Wallsall, I wouldn't have done that because I'd have been worried about either getting in trouble at home or getting in trouble with the police. But kids these days don't seem to care about coppers, do they?
Well, yeah. So if you're growing up in an environment where your parents don't care, maybe your parents are pro-criminogenic, maybe they explain to you that there are illegitimate ways to make money, shoplifting, antisocial behaviour. If your parents don't care, then why would you care? If your parents don't respect the police, if they don't show respect to authority, like school teachers, for example, then why would you care?
But then is it tough for parents as well? Because, dare I say it, if you even give your kid a little smack these days, before you know it, the NSPCC are around.
Yeah, well, that is definitely the way that the old zeitgeist has changed over time. Absolutely, yeah.
It's trouble, though, isn't it, I think? Because discipline for kids now, we've got things like knife crime, rampant drug dealing, lack of respect for authority in general. And I'm worried about if we play the tape forward, what this looks like. I mean, dare I say it, everywhere might end up looking like Blake Hell in Wallsall.
Well, I think there's definitely certain areas where that kind of attitude can fester, but I think it's probably a bit hyperbolic to say that that would happen anywhere, because, you know, there are very pro-social communities and there are people who care about the law and respect the community. So I think it's more likely to fester in certain deprived areas than it is to happen everywhere.
Yeah, and how can we improve these things? Do we just have to, in your opinion, you're a product of your own surroundings, so if you see in an area that every shop is shut down and that signs are falling off buildings and whatever, do you see deprivation all around, that you're less likely to care about your area and more likely to want to vandalise it yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So if nobody else around you, your peers, kids your own age, your own family members, your parents don't care about the environment and don't show it respect, then you're very less likely to care about it yourself. But to answer your question of how you solve this, I mean, that's a really, really hard question. I think the core causes have to be addressed. Things like poverty, deprivation, drug abuse, a lack of job opportunities or education within particular communities. Those are the core things that you really need to deal with first before you can actually really tackle individual behaviour.